Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore, as Phil Mackey and Judd Zulgad. We are at the site of the firing of manager Ron Gardenhire, from the Twins today.
We're not literally.
We are
sitting.
Actually, the press conference room at Target Field is where you're seeing this video. Kind of an odd scene today, guys. We're going to talk about sort of the firing and also what it means for the Twins going forward. But a sort of surreal scene because not often do you see a man getting fired attend his own press conference, kind of his own funeral. What was the vibe that you got from it, Judd? I know you wrote about it for 1500ESPN.com.
Well, I think the situation here is Ron Gardenhire and Terry Ryan sat down on Monday morning, but make no mistake, this goes back probably through weeks of conversation, and came to the conclusion, as Ron Gardenhire said, that no matter what Gardenhire thought about it, this was best for the franchise going forward. And the last time I was at a press conference where the guy who got fired attended it was Mike Tyson in 2005, who showed up a day after being fired by the Will family and said, "I'm not taking any questions," but made a statement. So, yes, you don't see this very often.
So why would he show up? Take me back to that Mike Tyson press conference. What was that like? Was it awkward? And why would you show up and then not at least answer questions? What's the point of showing up?
Tyson wanted to make a statement. He just came in and he literally made a statement and said, "I'm not taking questions." I think Tice, as much as Tice didn't like the Wilfs, I think he liked people within the organization, and I don't think he hated the reporters completely. And Tice being Tice, you shouldn't be surprised one bit. In my mind, too, Mike Tice was auditioning for his next job, so he's thinking to himself, if I can get a head coaching job, it might look good for me to go to my own firing, which is the perfect segue, boys, because the one thing that became clear as we watched Ron Gardenhire at his firing today is he's probably not done managing.
No, I mean, he flat out said, I want to manage again. I kind of expected him to maybe couch that because they did offer him a job within the organization. Yeah. And I kind of figured at the press conference, Terry Ryan sitting right here, he'll probably say, which he did, I want to take some time, make a decision, think about things. But in that second part of the sentence, he said, but I don't think I'm done managing yet. And he's not that old. He's not even, is he 60? He's not even 60 years old yet.
I looked it up. I think he's
like 58 years old or something.
Turns 58 in October. Yeah. So he's not old at all.
And I think, it depends on what teams are looking for. And I think it's going to be partly on him, too, to really be open to more new school thinking, which he has been in the last couple of years. And I think that's part of the reason why they didn't let him go a couple of years ago is because he was more on board with some of the analytic stuff that the front office was doing. But you've seen managers evolve. I mean, Joe Maddon is older than Ron Gardenhire. And right. Joe Maddon probably hasn't always been so open to new forms of evaluation and new ways of thinking. Clint Hurdle is one of the old school guys in baseball. And in Pittsburgh, he has vouched for analytics guys on the road to help them see a bigger picture and to try and eke out some wins. I think the most important thing to take out of this whole ordeal is just replacing Ron Gardenhire with, let's say, Paul Molitor or a Dave Martinez. If they win more games next year, it's not going to be because they swapped out the manager necessarily. I mean, maybe a new manager helped spark, but another year older for Santana and for Gibson and for Vargas and all these guys, Arcia, plus Buxton, Sano. This thing's kind of ready to pop right now in the next couple of years. And that's why it was important to pinpoint who your manager is going to be, not for next year, but for the next 5 years.
And Gardenhire, though, said the most important thing. He admitted the most important thing, which is the voice has to change. Yeah. That's the one thing when it comes to coaches or managers, no matter what you think of the job they do, eventually the voice gets old and it gets stale. And it's not just with the players. It's the entire organization. If the message stays the same for 15 years, this is 2014. The Walter Alston, Tommy Lasorda Dodger days, boys, are long gone. If you last somewhere as long as Gardenhire did, today should be a celebration for him of the fact that he lasted this long. That in itself, the Twins have had what? 2 managerial changes in 25, 26 years?
28 years.
That's almost 30 years.
That's unheard of. In 2014, to be this far along, that's remarkable.
Yeah. One thing that was surprising to me about the press conference is the resignation of it all. That Gardenhire seemed and said as much that he was on board with this decision, that it was a quote-unquote mutually agreed-upon decision. That's kind of surprising, given this was somebody who was, not outwardly pleading for his job as recently as a few weeks ago, but kind of, in a sense, doing just that, saying, hey, this thing is getting better. I want to be here as part of this turnaround, and now just sort of agreeing to, hey, I'll step back. Twins organization can move on without me. I thought that was sort of a weird part of this whole very weird situation generally. He
seemed almost at peace and relieved by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like he's not. Well, yeah, and he's not the type of guy that's going to flat out raise his hand and say, I quit. I can't do this anymore. He's not the type of guy that's just going to abort mission on a challenge. But everybody who's been watching this team for the last 4 years of 90-plus losses, the worst stretch in franchise history, you know that it's a talent issue first, not a manager issue.
Yeah, and to your point, Phil, the Twins, I expect them to be better next year, just looking at kind of where I see the roster going.
With you as the manager, they'd be better.
Exactly.
Most likely.
And I'm a terrible manager. I would make an awful manager. But just filling in, John Q. baseball, the Twins should be better in 2015. So that's one storyline to kind of watch, I guess. If they do improve, there's the potential that the narrative will be, a good riddance that Gardenhire's gone. Mm-hmm. My general philosophy is that managers' impact on a baseball game are so vastly overstated that there might only be a couple of wins difference that the best manager and the worst manager
don't you think that this situation, guys, probably dates back to last year? They give him the 2-year contract. So Ron Gardenhire is going to be well compensated, basically not to work. I think the Twins' offer to him right now is an unidentified job because it's going to be go to 5 banquets and talk, and we'll pay X amount. Don't you think this whole thing goes back to, hey, let's roll the dice. We'll give you 2 years. See what you do in 2014. This might not be your fault, but eventually the Twins had to come to him and say, Ron, we have nothing to sell here. We bring you back. We have nothing to sell. And as much as we want to say it's wins and losses on the field, which is right, it also comes down to marketing too, which is how do we market this product for 2015? If your season ticket base drops, let's say to 5,000 next year, something like that, well, that affects the bottom line. That's the most important thing to them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think making decisions based on marketing is ever a good idea because your best marketing is winning. Yeah. I mean, Terry Ryan said that too. It's like people wondering, well, how come no one's gone to a Wolves game? Even though they're like, because they haven't won in 10 years. And so for teams to try and come up with these campaigns, well, how do you get people into the ballpark at wherever?
92 games.
Exactly.
And cute songs about players don't do it.
Right.
Cute songs about players on teams that win do it.
Right. Correct.
Very weird day at Target Field, but I think a change that the Twins felt necessary, and certainly a lot of people outside of the organization also felt was not only coming, but needed to come. We'll have plenty of breakdown. Go check out our Twins page on 1500ESPN.com. We've all got columns, tons of news stuff. This video, we'll also have in the works a Sports Over Beers podcast this week talking about the Twins situation. So that should be fun. Check out all the latest
Diet
coverage.
Coke with Royce.
I don't know if it's going to be Diet Coke.
Give me a Diet Coke, Wetmore.
We'll figure that out. For Judd Zolgad, Phil Mackey from Target Field, I'm Derek Wetmore. Thanks for watching.